Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to War in the Pacific, Admirals Edition, and it is March 8th of 1942. We're chugging along into the early days of spring, although I guess technically it's not spring, but March is spring in 1942, and the campaign continues in the South Pacific. Last turn, we saw Japanese task forces on their way to Port Moresby, and we also saw a Japanese landing at Palembang. And so we have flooded the Palembang area, the river at Palembang as well, which may not be a great idea. Subs in rivers may not be a great strategy, but we'll find out. We flooded the river near Palembang and the area outside Palembang with submarines to try and interdict these masses of Japanese shipping that have shown up at Palembang. More than 20 cargo ships have shown up here. Our coastal defense guns at Palembang are still given a good account here. You can see they are firing back at the enemy. Unfortunately, they are only 75mm coastal guns, which means they won't do much damage. But against a light transport like an AKL, well, I guess a light freighter, if you hit like 20 or 30 times, maybe they'll do some damage. You can see there it took 3 shell hits into that AKL and no other damage to anybody else. So that continued. Japanese troops unloading over the beach, and so we've got another chance to fire at them. We've got another AKL, the Mayoko Maru, getting hit by 75mm guns, explosions below deck. Now it's up to heavy fires, heavy damage with 3 more shell hits. You can see here this was a landing turn as well, so we took a few casualties, Japanese troops coming ashore, and it doesn't look like we hurt any Japanese troops. My guess is this was just unloading supplies, not actual equipment. But nonetheless, heavy damage to an AKL, so that would be nice. Okay, so it looks like... Oh, nope. Encounters task force. Encounters task force. A lone PT boat against a cargo ship and some sort of escort coming in here. Sean Mack, I'll have to take a look at that. I'm not familiar with it, but okay, so we've got the combat going. PT boat here fired its torpedoes by the sound of that, but nothing hit. You can see the Saiyan Maru also has heavy damage, according to this report, so I'm curious if we've done a little bit more damage to a few more cargo ships than I thought. Not that sinking 2 or 3 cargo ships would really make up for losing the biggest oil-producing base on the entire Pacific map, but it'd be a little bit of a consolation to get to take a few enemy ships down with us, especially with the ships we sank near Tarkin. You know, who knows? Maybe we could take 6 or 7 Japanese cargo ships out in 2 days, 2 or 3 days. That would be a pretty big deal, I think. Meanwhile, Japanese destroyers here were being shot at by the SS Sari. Now it's going to be depth charged. 8 depth charge hits, heavy damage. More stuff going on over this way. 3 destroyers apparently passing over that sub. No damage done there. Getting a hit on a destroyer with the torpedo for a sub is a big ask, like Hajiman. Something just sank, by the way. And the Japanese just put a torpedo into the side of the AP Henderson. 1 torpedo hit, heavy damage, 1 gun lost. This was one of... I actually put together about 10 convoys coming out of San Diego this turn. All 1 or 2 transport convoys, all carrying anti-aircraft units, and I think 1 coastal defense unit to various Pacific islands to strengthen our anti-air. I'm assuming he's going to swing down and hit us with the Kiributai at some point along the Fiji line or other bases like that. So I am intending to get... I have a lot of anti-aircraft units sort of based up in San Diego, and I'm going to throw those guys out to a bunch of different Pacific islands. But you can see here 1 torpedo hit, heavy damage, 1 gun lost. I'm guessing 1 torpedo, the Kitty Butai, yeah, the Kido Butai, my bad. But I'm guessing 1 torpedo into a big troop transport like the Henderson won't sink it. So hopefully it turns around and goes back to base. Meanwhile, more bombardments here at Palembang. Japanese casualties as they unload over the beach. A few defending casualties there. A few more Japanese casualties here. 2 squads destroyed, 1 gun lost. Another bombardment here. 4 shell hits into the Saiyan Maru, heavy damage. 13 more Japanese casualties. These 75mm guns are doing their work. I mean, they're definitely they're getting their money's worth. They're not going to turn the invasion back, but you know, anything we can do to make it a little bit more bloody there. You can see those 75 shooting back, another hit into the Hinko Maru, 2 more shell hits into the Yaburi Maru. Neither one of those appear to be very badly damaged. Another bombardment. He's being very deliberate about not sending anything heavier than patrol boats against Palembang. Obviously, he does not want to bombard the city itself and damage the oil wells and facilities there, so he's using smaller vessels that are unlikely to cause much in the way of damage there. P. Warner, I do have most of those APs escorted with at least one escort of either auxiliary minesweepers, I think, which have pretty decent anti-submarine capabilities, or destroyers. I also have a couple of yard patrol or other sweeps running as well, so they're not totally alone. Hey Pat, how you doing? Good to see you. I don't know if I have the stream options or if it's all still just 1080. We started a little bit later, so maybe we've got the options. 8 shell hits into the Hinko Maru, heavy damage. Those 75mm boys continue to do their work. Gotta wonder if the barrels are going to start overheating and exploding on the men. No, that can't happen, but it is something that you know, you'd wonder. I'm so glad. Oh, hit but no explosion on an enemy patrol boat. Joy, that is such an efficient use of your torpedoes. Meanwhile, you're attacking what looks to be a hunter-killer group. It's got an escort, the Ishikagi, and also a patrol boat. Yeah, this... Well, actually, no. There's a cruiser mine layer in this task force, a landing ship dock. I wonder if he's moving that to Palembang, or if he's going to make Palembang like a forward base for repairing ships and stuff. LSD, I think, would be a vessel that helps repair badly damaged ships. I could be wrong on that. Okay... All right, Dutch sub here near Moresby. Oh, and LSD carries troops? Okay, my bad. Perhaps, Pat. We'll find out soon. Shark gets hit with 4 depth charges, although no damage, no serious damage reported there. And we're moving into the AM phase. Okay, so recon, recon, recon. All right, let's fast forward here a little bit more. I could just, you know, maybe... Oh, Dutch bombers here coming after the Japanese at Palembang here. So again, I did send in the crappy Dutch bombers. I stopped sending in the Catalinas here. And you can see he actually substantially reduced his cap. We've only got 12 zeros between us and the enemy bombers, and the enemy ships. So my assumption is that just through sheer weight of numbers, which was my assumption last turn, my assumption is that he would have some amount of cap, but it would not be overwhelming, and that just the sheer number of bombers we would send in would get some planes through. You can see here in this case, we did get 5 bombers through, so 5 guys did get through to attack the Japanese transports. They're unloading their payloads here, and why on earth would you target a destroyer? That's got to be like one of the hardest targets to hit, you morons. There's cargo ships that are way more valuable. All right, well, we got shot to pieces. 4 Hudson shot down, 1 American Seagull, 1 L-212, and 2 Falcons. Most of these aircraft are goners anyway, with the exception of maybe the Seagulls, but I don't even think any of them have the range to get out of here. So that's the problem, is these Dutch bombers are all restricted to these bases, so all these bombers are going to get destroyed sooner or later, regardless of what I do with them. So I'm trying to get a little bit of luck in something out of them. It's not just that I'm sending them to their slaughter, it's that I'm trying to get some value out of these guys because they're all going to get destroyed before the end of the Dutch East Indies campaign anyway, and these are good targets. The problem is my pilots absolutely suck ass, And you can see there 3 more destroyed, 3 damaged, no hits on those ships. 2 more trying to come through. The Japanese cap does appear to be getting worn down, although one of those was destroyed apparently, and one was driven back with no result there. Meanwhile, we've got a skip bombing attack, 8 B-17s going after something Japanese near Port Moresby. You can see there's 6 Zeros flying cap over top. Those will definitely not be enough to stop me. So we'll fast forward through here. We'll see if our 8 bombers can make it through. All 8 did make it through, coming in at 1,000 feet against the battleship Yamashiro. So the first 3 B-17s dropped their payloads with no hits. 3 more B-17s coming in, dropping with no hits. And 2 B-17s decide to go after a destroyer minesweeper with no hits. God damn it. We got all 8 bombers coming in at 1,000 feet, and they don't do anything. That's great. Looks like 6 of those bombers were damaged. Hopefully none of those were destroyed. I don't know if 100... I think 1,000 feet is more effective than 100, Warner. I think if you get to 1,000 or below, it doesn't really make much of a difference. Yeah, Co, I know I need to get better training. Some of my B-17 groups actually have decent... well, not decent, but 40-plus naval bombing experience, which is certainly enough to get hits. We've seen skip bombing with our B-17s at... where was it? It was near Espiritu Santos, and we sank 2 or 3 Japanese submarines in the port there with skip bombing. Granted, they were anchored in port. They weren't at sea, but still. Okay, so we'll fast forward through here. Low naval for skip bombing? Is that a separate trait other than naval bombing? The only trait I remember seeing is nav B. Low N skill? I'll have to take a look at that. Do you just train them at low altitude for naval attack then, Co? Sean, I know that, but I believe 1,000 feet or lower, you don't really see an impact in the game. Okay, thanks for the heads up, Co. I'll have to modify my training there. More pilots and planes coming in to no effect. 2 more B-17s coming in at Japanese shipping here. They both make it through the Zeros, and they're going after the Yamashiro again, and no hits there. Japanese damage 1 more B-17 heading out. Can't be the only battleship there, Southern. I guess we'll find out. The Shark is firing. Hit but no explosion. God damn it. The Hinko Maru. You're living a charmed life. You should have been finished off there. You've been hit by a lot of coastal guns. 1 torpedo would have finished you for sure, but no destruction there. The Shark is now firing at a Japanese heavy cruiser, but the torpedoes miss. Yamashiro, it might have been at Ambon. I heard something sink just now. Meanwhile, Japanese bombardment task force hitting Port Moresby, but the Japanese battleship Hyuga bombarding here. Did we actually hit something that I didn't see then, Co? If you're saying this might be desync? A lot of bombardment here at Moresby. So you can see 4 Japanese battleships bombarding at Moresby with 7 heavy cruisers? Jeez. 700 casualties inflicted, 1 squad destroyed, 18 non-combatants disabled, 1 engineer destroyed, 8 guns lost. 8 port supply hits, 33 port hits, 60 runway hits, 8 airbase supply hits, 17 airbase hits. That bombardment was not very effective. Yeah, Moresby's done. I mean, Probably. We'll have to see. He probably can't bombard effectively again, though. He burned through his ammo, and it's at least a day's sail away to get more ammo. So that's good for us, at least. So maybe 2 or 3 more days till he returns. Maybe 4 more days. He's going to have to go around the coast of New Guinea to replenish. All right, cool. I'll check the replay after the turn. Japanese deliberate attack at Moresby. Okay, yep. Guys, I'm sorry. This is actually another desync. God, that's annoying. So I know for a fact, based on the discussion with XTRG, that Moresby did not fall. So this is definitely a desync. So relax. Japanese forces did not capture Port Moresby in this turn. The problem is now I have no idea what actually occurred. And apparently Tarkin holds, which I believe Tarkin actually fell in the correct replay. That's so annoying, especially given that the Allied player is the only one who suffers from these desyncs when they happen. So I'll have to take a look. Well, he didn't attack at Singapore, Pat. I guess, obviously, if it's desync, he could have attacked at Singapore. But we'll take a look here in a sec once we get through here. Japanese landed at Pearl Harbor. All is lost. I think you're lying, Kyle. I think you're a lying traitor. To the masthead with ye. All right, let's get through this turn. We know it's garbage. Fast forward. Whoa. Kicked me out of the game. So we're going to jump in here. Let's take a look at the combat report here and see what actually happened. ASW attack near Palembang. Nothing happened there. Invasion support near Palembang. 3 shell hits into the Hinko Maru. I think that was accurate. I think that's what our replay showed. 3 more shell hits on the Mayuko Maru. That one's suffering heavy damage. Nighttime surface combat near Palembang. Nothing happened there. I think we saw that as well. Same for this light cruiser action, so I'm not sure where the desync occurred. 8 hits on the Sauri, heavy damage. We'll have to take a look at that. DMS is clearing mines near Leh. Why would it tell me how many mines the Japanese cleared? How would I know? I don't have anybody there checking the minefield. ASW attack near Deburn Island. The seal is undamaged. Japanese attack near San Clemente Island. 1 torpedo into the Henderson, so that looks like that was accurate. 73 coastal guns fired in defense of Palembang. I think these all look pretty accurate, guys. I mean, so far, I'm not seeing anything that looks like it was different. Mines have radios. Maybe... Oh, good call, Charcoal. Maybe the mines have IoT chips in them, and they report back their status. It's like a SOSUS thing. All right. Invasion support of Palembang. Okay. 8 more shell hits into the Hinko Maru. Maybe she sank. That's a lot of damage. Says she has heavy damage. Okay. Another Japanese sub-attack on the troop transport Santa Ynez near Newcastle. Where's that? Newcastle where? I'll take a look. No damage, at least. ASW attack near Moresby. So everything so far seems to be synced up. I haven't noticed anything substantially different. We're getting into the air attacks now. So no hits there. Most of those guys destroyed. No hits there. We did put 1 bomb, apparently, so we got 3 L-212s were attacking at 7,000 feet near Palembang. I thought they were coming in lower than that. Yeah, it says bombing from 1,000 feet. Oh, joy. 1 bomb hit into the Hega Maru. It's on fire, but it's a 50-kilogram bomb. That's not going to do jack diddly. Still, good job, guys. You got a hit. 2 bomb hits into the Ryoyu Maru. With some 4 Hudsons which came in. The Japanese did nothing against them, and those were 2 250-kilogram SAP bombs. So that might actually do a reasonable amount of damage, although it is a bigger ship. It's an AK. So that's good. So multiple bomb hits. Looks like our bombers did a little bit better. 1 B-17 destroyed by flak. 1 destroyed by his fighters. Crap. Zuiho's providing cap. 3 B-17s here. 3 damaged. No Japanese ships hit. Bombardment of Moresby was actually worse in this replay than what we saw. 35 non-combatant squads destroyed. No combat squads destroyed. 2 engineers, 14 guns lost. 18 airbase supply hits. 7 port supply hits. 45 port hits. 53 runway hits. 29 airbase hits. Japanese deliberate attack near Changsha. 1 allied unit retreats. Ground combat at Port Moresby, 1-to-1 odds. Fort level was 0. I thought it was... Oh, no, it was 1, but he reduced it to 0 with the engineers, I guess. Because they reduced the fortifications. The base didn't fall, so that's good. Japanese lost 898 men, 2 squads destroyed, 53 disabled. We lost 12 infantry squads destroyed, 17 disabled, so 29 reduction in strength of our combat squads versus his... 55 reduction in combat squads. So he lost more men than we did. His engineers got rid of the last fortifications, but Port Moresby held its ground. Tarkin, meanwhile, fell, so that combat report was wrong. It was 3-to-1 odds for the Japanese, 86 lost to 1,800 of our own. 1 unit destroyed, 2 retreated. Retreated to where, might I ask? There are no bases for you to retreat to. Those men are all goners, but we lost Tarkin. Ground combat at Palembang. Allied bombardment attack. I thought I told you guys not to bombard. That didn't work out. So, how about you troops there? Stop bombarding, because I don't want you to. I want you to just defend. You don't need to institute combat if you're not really looking for it. Let's go take a look at Port Moresby. No, I know, Ko, but there was... Is that every turn there's a new landing? Because he landed at Moresby 2 turns ago, and I turned off the bombardment orders. So if he landed a new unit, it turns it back on? God damn it, that's annoying. All right, so Moresby bombarded. Look at that damage. That runway's not going to be used for a while. 90 runway damage, 81 service damage, 84 port damage. And he killed the supply. Holy shit, all the supply in the base is gone. All the fuel, too. We had like 10,000 supply. Well, rip to Moresby. I didn't realize a bombardment task force, like, we had 10,000 supply and it's just gone. We're at about 3/4 of supply for our 45th Indian Brigade. The Port Moresby Brigade is a little bit better off. Most of the units aren't that low on supply, but they're going to start taking supply penalties in combat after that. No Nels or Bettys for a bit. Yeah, but I would rather have a little bit more supply so we can try and hold on. Well, how do you tell them not to repair? Is there a way to do that? I'll look at flying stuff in, although he does have, I think he's got zeros. It was 7 heavy cruisers. They always repair air bases, so there's no way to turn it off. I don't have any... I could turn the base force unit to reserve. Would that change anything? I guess it won't matter, yeah, if I don't have the supply. So I do have 4 Empire floating boats that I could send on supply transport missions to Moresby, but what I'm more worried about is I think he's flying cap over Moresby, out of maybe Leh or somewhere like that. So I'd worry that I'd just be sending transports to their doom. You can see here our subs are all chilling out. No one's putting torpedoes into Japanese battleships, which kind of sucks. These guys are going to set a patrol zone here. Gonna set a tripwire for him to hopefully go over, because he's gonna have to pull those battleships back. They're not gonna have any supply. So we'll set these 2 guys patrol zones there. The S-35 took too much damage. We've got a bunch of subs racing out this way. It'll probably be 2 turns before he actually gets back there. Already got this guy here. Clear those patrol zones. So we've got 1 here, 2 here, I think. We'll put the 3rd one here. Move down to mission speed. So I'm trying to build another tripwire so it goes right back over that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's probably wide enough. I guess he could have resupply efforts in Tulagi. We actually have the GAR patrolling at Tulagi. Although it suffered a fair bit of flotation damage, we should probably pull it out. If I have any U.S. fighter squadrons in Oz, I can upgrade them to P-38, sweep from Cairns to Port Moresby, and keep bombing his airfield with B-17s, pretty much neutralizing Port Moresby as a useful base. That's not a bad idea, Co. That's actually a pretty good idea. Whoa, don't go to Johnson Island. Brisbane's right here. But I am going to replace the GAR there with the Narwhal, because I do suspect that that may be where he's going to have to resupply somewhere. It's either going to be Shortland, Buna, or Tulagi. So we'll take a look at that. I've also got a bunch of subs already sort of headed that way. Does it have to be out of Cairns? Can they reach from Townsville? Townsville's in better shape as far as an airfield's concerned. I don't have enough P-38s to form up yet anyway. I've got to wait for some of them to re-enter the pool. So if you take a look at our aircraft replacement pool, and we filter down just for U.S. Army, we go what's in the pool, and we remove stuff that has nothing in the pool. You'll see here that our P-38s, where are they at? Where are you at? Oh, right here. We've got 9 in the pool. We've got 14 on the way. So we'll have 23 before too long. But that could take up to a week for these guys to arrive. So I've decommissioned, I think, 2 squadrons of P-38s, but they weren't full squadrons. P. Warner, he's probably pulling the BBs into Shortland or Tulagi with AKEs. He's probably got like replenishment ships that he's forward basing. Maybe not at Buna because of the minefields, but I'd guess he's got one at Tulagi or Shortlands. We could try and do a port attack at Tulagi. Well, I can't reach it. Never mind. I was gonna say we did port attacks at Luganville with our B-17s out of Fiji. Gonna guess I know we can't reach Tulagi. What about the guys out of Charter Towns? Can they reach Tulagi? Nope, 27. It's too far. So Tulagi is safe from long-range bombers, which would make it another logical place for him to get there. All right, Co, I'll take a look at the base forces, getting some of them up to Cairns. I've got 1 there. I don't think I'm building the... I assumed he would land at Cairns, so I've been focusing more on fortifications. Cairns is also a level 2 airfield, not a level 1. So we've already got it up to 2. Cairns in JR. Oh, a jungle? Division could hold there a long time. Yeah, I think it's just a question. So, like, I could put a division at Cairns, but if he lands at Townsville, then the division instantly gets cut off with no rail link out. We could move via the roads, but it'll be a slow proposition. If he lands at Cookton, I don't think he'll do that because the roadways aren't ideal for him to move. I think he'd probably land at either Townsville or Cairns. I'm not sure which. I've got a bunch of subs already here that are trying to mess with him. Good subs too. They're all Dutch, so they've all got functioning torpedoes. If we could just get one to hit. Ko, if the Kiributai shows up, or if he sends 4 battleships, I think we'll get wrecked. I don't think he can make a landing in Australia for a little while still. The advice I've seen mostly is keep your units off the beaches, let the Japanese land at this stage in the war, and then pounce them as soon as they get ashore. Mainly because of the amphibious bonuses they get. Okay, so... Any of our Catalinas repair themselves at Batavia? So we've got 5 Catalinas back. So this unit OOB, where is it at? It's at... Oh, wait, the whole thing's at Batavia? Well, that's great. What about these guys? Did any of them make it out? That's the parent unit, I guess. These guys... Some of them are at Broome in Australia. Some of them are in San Francisco, and some are at Sabang. That's the OOB for some of these Catalinas is weird. We're going to fly one of them out to Sabang now. They'll rejoin, then we're going to fly the other guys all out to Sabang. The reason we're flying them out to Sabang is not that I don't want them in Australia, because I think they may provide more value on the northern coast of Australia once the Dutch East Indies falls, but because I'm in the process of trying to pull friendly units out of the Dutch East Indies. Okay, so that gets us 5 more Catalinas forward. We've got 5 more hanging back and repairing. Yeah, P. Warner, I've got 32 Kitty Hawks have already arrived. I think we've got another 32 on the way. Kitty Hawks are definitely fighters, dude. Defense of Batavia, I don't know what's left in the Air Force. Probably not much after they're getting shot up like this. We've got 45 aircraft left at Batavia. We've got 10 Hudson 3s, which have been primarily doing searching duties, so they've been saved a lot of the heartache. Our Hurricane squadron here is up to 7 out of 12, so they're in the process of turning these upgraded aircraft in 2 days. We'll be at full strength, 12 Hurricanes. Meanwhile, we've got a couple of Buffaloes down at Tijilap. Looks like we've got 5 of them. I will probably upgrade them in a few days. Wait a minute. Did I give a unit P-40Es? I thought I did. Here they are. So we gave 1 Dutch squadron P-40Es. We didn't have enough for the full complement of 12, but I think we get like 1 every other day. So maybe in like a week, we'll have a full complement of these. All 7 of these should be fixed up in 2 days. So in 2 days, we should have 12 Hurricanes and 7 P-40s flying out of the Dutch East Indies. So 29 modern airframes. Definitely not going to deal with like 50-plus zeros like we've seen like out of Palembang or other places like that. But we might be able to surprise him a little bit. Fortress setup in Palembang right now. Level 2 forts, they're up to 99%. So if he doesn't attack next turn, they may get up to 3 if he continues to unload. If he does attack, then that may get reduced. He's got so many engineers that he's landed here that fort level is going to drop the second he attacks. It's just a question of how much he's unloaded and if he's ready to launch a deliberate attack or not. Army units in Batavia are not very strong, so we've just got a couple of Dutch units here. We've got the Zuid Battalion, the Sumatra Battalion, and then we've got the Palembang Base Force for a total of about 115 AV. He's only landed 1 infantry regiment so far that we've seen in terms of combat forces. He's landed 20,000 plus troops, but it's almost all engineers. I'm assuming he's doing that so he can rapidly get this repaired once the damage is taken post base falling. So there's that. Whatever happened to the Sari? That took a bunch of damage, didn't it? Did she sink? Here she is. 52 float. So she actually survived. Hopefully it's something that they can pull back without sinking en route. Allied damage control is pretty good. So this is the sub that was hit the worst by enemy depth charges in that last turn. You can see its torpedo tubes, 2 of its forward torpedo tube mounts were knocked out. So this guy's going back to Surabaya, but we're not probably going to leave him at Sora for very long. We'll probably pull him further back. Actually, we should probably bring him back to Colombo. The dry docks there are closer than Brisbane or Perth. So let's bring him back to Colombo. Use the yard there. I mean, we could send it to Sumatra and then hope it like gets repaired a little bit in port, or we could send it to Singapore and hope Singapore doesn't fall while it's in port. Singapore is obviously much closer, does have dry docks, but I'm not gonna. Singapore probably won't last long enough for me to repair it up. We probably just need to get the float level down to the 33 major damage though. Singapore, meanwhile, no attack this turn. Attack value's up to 846. Troops there getting pretty rested. Supplies are at 17,000, so still reasonable amounts of supply. I mean, I'm not too... Honestly, I'll risk it. It's just one sub. It's only worth 8 victory value. We'll move it to Singapore. We'll try and get it down... we're not going to send into the docks. I'm not going to. Well, here's the thing, like a G-Man. It's not going to get fixed at Surabaya either. So like I can send it down to Surabaya, but I'm only going to keep it there for 2 or 3 days just to minimize the flooding. Port Blair has no docks. I'm not going to repair the thing, and it's going to take at least a month to repair. Sora will fall before that. Rangoon might, but it's within bomber range. I mean, Colombo, if you're going to go that way, you might as well go to Colombo. It's not that much further. Blenheims are still damaged. Meanwhile, we've got some Catalinas, some Dutch Catalinas flying guys out. So we've got some Lodestars, some DC-2s, all pulling troops into Meaden. Meanwhile, 223 Group RAF/1, 888 load cost, is on trains on the way to Sabang. So they are on their way out. Once they get to Sabang, we will fly them to Rangoon. Although I am tempted to send one troop transport down and see if we can't load them up on ships, and it'll get there much more efficiently. You can see here there are elements of it that are back at Singapore. Where is this guy? Wait. Oh, some of it is already at Sabang. So 4 of its support arrived at Sabang already. Meanwhile, you've got an element of it that remains at Singapore, 324 load cost. So we've actually gotten more than half the 223 group out of Blair to support Rangoon. No, realistically, they're too far away. It's if we click on Rangoon and we take a look at Blair, they're 11 hexes away, which for a long-ranged fighter like the P-38 might be doable, but for everything else that we have right now, no. Bombers, theoretically, but they'd be going unescorted. Airfield's too small right now anyway, I think. It's a level 1 airfield. All right, so we'll continue trying to pull the 223 group out so we can get it all out. Once it arrives at Meaden, we'll throw it up to Sabang via transports. The guys at Sabang also are at 48 load cost. Meanwhile, you can see Abda-2 is at 48 load cost, so we've gotten most of Abda out. You've got the main unit, the core unit, 468 load cost already flown into Rangoon. So they are safe from total destruction, if you will. We did some air recon over Mulman this turn, and you can see the enemy has 2 units, 57 guns, no AFVs, 15,820 men. I'm assuming those are Thai forces, Royal Thai Army divisions. We still have the 108th Base Force on the rail line between the Japanese and Singapore, so hopefully that's messing with his supply situation. Sean Mack, thanks for the bits, appreciate it. Super Storby, thank you for the follow. Colmu, thank you for the follow as well. I might have already thanked you, I'm not sure. Okay. So that's the situation in the Dutch East Indies. God, I can't believe that all the supply at Moresby's already gone. Thank God, but thank God Bataan has such strong coastal defenses that there's no way he'd be silly enough to try and bombard Bataan. Also, it's got almost 600 mines, so I would love if he sent a battleship force there. But Bataan still has over 20,000 supply. So I know I was talking in the chat with you guys. Some of you asked, like, where can we hit him? Where's XTRG weak? He's definitely weak here. He's got 2 units at Bataan. We did some bombardment attacks a few turns ago, so we know they're 2 full-size enemy divisions. We could definitely attack, and I think we'd even drive him back to Clark Field. But the problem is, if we do that, Clark Field is a jungle hex, and that would be very difficult for us to attack. Effectively. Clark Field is one of the best defensive terrains on the entire island of Luzon, and one would assume he's been building the fort levels up slightly as well. So I think we could drive these 2 divisions back, but honestly, we'd probably lose like a quarter to a fifth of our attack value, and I'm not sure, even if we drove the divisions into Clark Field, that we'd be able to take Clark Field from him. And honestly, even if we did, we'd be burning all the supply that we have anyway, so we'd end up using like half our supply to do that. Even if we took Clark Field, we would actually shorten the amount of time that we'd be able to drive him back and Luzon. So I think it's pointless. I don't think there's any reason to do it. What I will say though is I'm going to go ahead and set the recon units here just to double check what he has to make sure he didn't pull out that 2nd division. So we've got 7 recon aircraft at Bataan still flying. We'll go ahead and have them fly toward Bataan and just take a look at what the enemy has, since it doesn't look like I have any intelligence on those two units, just to make sure he didn't pull out one of the divisions. Kyle, if we attack if we attack after we're out of supply, our troops will just get slaughtered. But P, I don't think we could take the jungle hex at Clark, especially if he built any forts there. So we'd drive him out of Bataan, but I don't think we'd force him to reinforce anything. I think we would end up weaker. Relatively, I think we would lose more by an attack than he would, and I don't think we would end up being able to force him to reinforce the Philippines. I think the only way he would reinforce the Philippines is if Clark Field fell. Be fun to catch 70 Japanese bombers on the ground, though. Destroy them all. Okay, so let's take a look at Rangoon. Rangoon is up to 50,000 supplies, guys. That's quite a lot. 50,000 supplies in Rangoon. Mandalay's at 16,000. What's the spoilage amount there? 32,000? So still within spoilage values. We're really pumping a lot of supply into Burma. 13,000 at Pegu. Bunch of these other side bases have 3,000. Some of them have almost 10,000 here. I definitely want to make sure we stay below the spoilage limit, because it's really silly to go over that, but it looks like we're comfortably below that at all these bases. Mintanka has 3,000. Lashio has 8,000 on the road to China. So that's nice. There's 8,000 supply in Lashio. It can only transfer 1,200 supply per day into Pashoan. And Pashoan can only transfer 300 supply. So the bottleneck is on the Chinese end of this road. But we can try and force a little bit more supply, because I think, 500 supply arrives at Pashoan every turn from the Burma road, and then also whatever we can push across from Lashio, or does it arrive at Kunming? I'm not sure. Kunming's up to 10,000 supply, despite not having very much in the way of Chinese forces here. So that actually tells me that we've got a decent amount of supply that is flowing down this roadway, with over 10,000 supply there. Rangoon forts, what are they? 3, working on their way up to 4. Pegu forts are at 3, working on their way to 4. Pegu's got more progress toward 4. The other nice thing with Rangoon is it's an urban hex, which gives you a ×3 defense. So ×3 defense plus level 3 fort is pretty formidable. I wish we could improve the road in these mountains. Yeah, that would be nice. Meanwhile, the only Chinese base, there's 2 bases that I'm showing that are low on supply. We've got Cyan low on supply here, 6,800 of a requested 8,200, but all the troops have more than what they need. And then we've also got Chikikang, which is our largest force. I am starting to disperse that, guys. I've started shifting troops. We've got 3 very large units here that I'm moving toward Quilin, which is down here, because I think he's going to shift troops west. You can see he's weakened his formations in front of Chikikang to 3 and 2 units. So I'm pretty sure those are holding forces as he redeploys his troops elsewhere in China. And one assumption is that he will go this road south and west. So I'm going to pull 3 of our largest units out of Chikikang, and we will move them down toward that railway hex down south. Quilin is also a good defensive hex. It is a WD hex, which I think gives us ×2 defensive bonus, plus it's a level 3 fort. So that's a good place to hold if we can get there. The move at Nanning further up. So our troops have gotten into Nanning. They've taken the base. There's not sufficient supply there. The troops themselves are low on supply. At least the headquarters and the engineer troops are. Obviously, we just took it from the Japanese, so he must not have had much supply there. He's got 2 units. It looks like he's got... Whoa, he moved way more units north of Nanning. We're seeing 3 units north of Nanning in the mountains, and then we're seeing 2 units moving back to Nanning. We're also seeing 2 Japanese units to the east of Nanning and 2 units to the south of Nanning. So he's trying to converge on Nanning. I have left some of my force southwest of Nanning. The main reason there is actually a roadway hex directly west from Nanning. So he could send troops west here to try and cut my retreat out of Nanning and then bottle up this force of 30,000 or 40,000 men. So I definitely don't want to enable him to do that. So I have left some troops behind. We've left about 600 assault value behind. They're working on getting their fort levels up. These corps have gotten their fort levels up to 1, so that should help the defensive there. But we'll see. Meanwhile, Mexicans, thank you for the resub. Appreciated. 2nd month subbed with Prime. And Broadsword, thank you for the follow. Coolmo, thank you for the follow as well. So you can see these guys have already built up level 1 forts, but their supply is weak. So we've got to be careful because, again, he could definitely cut in behind us at Nanning and take our rear and force us to surrender this force here. So it is a bit risky. Meanwhile, we also have these troops that are trying to pursue down behind them. So we've got about 1,400 assault value. They are moving south at these 3 Japanese units. I've noticed he hasn't moved these guys back yet. So either they're marching more slowly, or his intent is to hold there because it is a rough hex. It's a ×3 defensive hex. He's probably built up some forts for his own troops there. So if we don't come at him with overwhelming force, he might be able to hold here. So I think my plan is to pursue, bombard, see what he has there. If we think we can take it, then we'll attack and drive him back to buy us another mountainous hex in front of Xi'an. But if we can't, then we may just hold the position there, or we may fall back towards Xi'an. I need to be really careful here because, again, with troops converging on Nanning, Japanese troops don't just surrender in this game. They basically require you to grind them into dust. And that takes multiple turns, especially for large units like brigades and divisions. And frankly, the Chinese striking force is not really up to that ask. So that's something we got to be careful of. And if he tries to move west here, then I'm probably just going to try and pull my troops out of Nanning instantly to try and extricate them from a potential trap that I will have raced into. But I am at least diverting Japanese troops from elsewhere to come up here because obviously they're moving quick to try and get supply. Because again, these guys are going to be running out of supply. Every turn that we're in Nanning, these guys are going to slowly run out of supply. We built up 1 fort level to the east on this roadway here, which is also rough terrain. We're also trying to move some troops here a little bit further east into this rough terrain here so that we can try and stop any drive up this railway towards Xi'an. And we'll stop them in the mountains here. And we'll stop them in the mountains here. So that's the situation there in China. You can see we've clogged the railways south toward Luqiu and Quilin. We've also moved the 14th Chinese Corps northeast of Quilin into some rough terrain to give us a little bit of a forward defense on Quilin. I don't want to move too far because you could definitely just move up this bad road up from Wuqiu and go directly into Quilin. But I do want to delay him as long as possible anywhere that we can. So that's something we have to be mindful of. So that's China. Which, despite all the movement, the supply situation seems to actually be okay. 22,000 in Chongqing, 14,000 at Quilin, 10,000 at Kuming, 12,000 at Tuyuan. Only 2,000 at Luqiu, but we don't have that many troops there yet. We have more on the way. We've got 2,400 at Quilin. Same story there. They should draw more supply once we get more men there. They're on a direct rail line with Tuyen. So Tuyen is a... Looks like it has unlimited supply transport. They're actually over the supply limit, which is going to cause spoilage, which is not great. Try and lower the supply requested amount. Lu Chou, meanwhile, has an unlimited supply transfer. Again, probably because it's on this major roadway or railway. I think it's actually just a major highway. Same story for Quilin. So they should be able to pull what they need south from Tuyen. I'm hoping they don't have too much spoilage there. The Kuming base section. Kuming has a 400 max supply transfer. It's got 10,000 supplies in there, 32,000 supply limit. It's actually got a little bit of a victory point penalty here. It's not garrisoned sufficiently. It's only got 73 assault value in the 54th Chinese Corps. We've got a little bit of disruption within the unit. And we'll switch it over to rest, and hopefully these guys will get repaired so we stop taking that penalty. Interesting. It won't export any supply until it gets over 15,000? Why is that? Is that just a random rule just for this base? Or is it for all bases? Well, in that case, we'll just lower the requested supply. We don't have very much in the way of units here, so I'll drop it to 1,200, which will then mean that supply should start flowing out of the base. Thanks for the catch, Pat. Meanwhile, British Division, you ask, has that arrived yet? Yes. The 18th British Division has arrived at Rangoon. You can see here it's on rail cars. It has 16 fatigue and 7 disruption, so that we're going to take those off trains, and we'll try and rest them a little bit to get the fatigue down, and then we'll start marching them, potentially. 1st Burma Division, meanwhile, is resting also. You can see here their fatigue is 0, or their disruption 0. Their fatigue is 2. So we now have 800 assault value in Rangoon between the 1st Burma Division and the 18th British Division. Both those units will be set to rest. Also set the Hussars to rest. I think they'll come with us. The Vickers tankettes, maybe they can do something. Got a fair amount of anti-aircraft units in Rangoon, which is nice. ABDA just has support. It doesn't have aviation support. But we will be transferring the 223 RAF group in here, which should help with the air situation, because Rangoon is overpopulated with fighters. 105 fighters, only 78 support. We're going to start bringing in the 223 group, which has some aviation support with it. So that should help. I'm not going to pull all the units out of Rangoon like a G-Man. Just a couple. Are either of the divisions any good? The British Division has good units. 325 British infantry sections. Those are very good units. 52 Bren sections. Those are good support units. British combat engineers are good as well. The experience level is a little bit low, and the morale's a little bit low. So those aren't great. But the actual units in the division are quality equipment and manpower. That's fine. So we're going to be bringing more units down anyway. So you can see here the 48th Gurkhas and the 9th Burma Rifles are moving to different locations. Those guys are moving to Prom. The Gurkhas are moving to Pegu. I'm going to form up another division in Pegu. And I can pull probably the 46th Indian Brigade back into Rangoon once I pull these other troops out of Rangoon. And that'll cover the garrison needs. Is that brigade any good either? 46? No, they're even worse. Their morale's better, but their experience is 30. So we'll probably pull them back out to Rangoon. The BFF Brigade is on the way to Rangoon to rest as well, although their fatigue and disruption are pretty low, so actually why don't we just leave them there? They're at 8 fatigue, 0 disruption. We'll leave them there and let them rest. You can't wait for our first real victory, not just a delaying action. Don't suppose we can do a Doolittle raid. Doolittle would be bad, so then our carriers would get sunk for sure. We have some big RAF ground wings actually in Lido. I don't plan to leave the 223 group there permanently. They'll get destroyed, but we may base them there shortly. I need to bring one of these big group wings in. But right now they're currently in India, which would mean a trek across the mountains, which is not a very efficient move. In any event, the air units are in good shape despite the lack of aviation because we're not running a very high tempo of operations right now. So you only have a handful of units that are disabled. Meanwhile, you can see here 25 P-40E Warhawks in the 24th Pursuit Squadron, 17 P-40Es in the 17th Pursuit Squadron. I think I upgraded one of these guys from something else. The Hurricanes are a little bit, they've lost a couple of casualties in units, so we haven't replenished them all. You got 23 Hurricanes here. Got another 32 Hurricanes up at Chikiakong, as well as 24 American P-39 Airacobras. So we've got another 56 modern aircraft north on Chikiakong. So once that battle of attrition begins over Rangoon, we've got 105 fighters at Rangoon with 50 reinforcements very close. We could also definitely pull the 32 Hurricanes in China over as well. So all told, we have about 180 modern fighters that we can bring to play as that gets running. They should pick up troops. Should pick up Abda. I don't... Oh, it's too far? Damn. Do I need to fly these guys out? They can't pick anybody up there? Shouldn't it be their transfer range? Huh. We've got one Catalina group pulling out Abda, so they'll probably get the rest of Abda out. Actually, 2. Or 1, my bad. Is it just the one patrol aircraft, or is there anybody else here? Yeah, just the one Catalina. I'll have to maybe move the DCs into the Dutch East Indies. Nobody there. Do we have any other Catalinas anywhere around here? Some Hurricanes on Sri Lanka. Just going to pronounce it Sri Lanka from now on. It's easier to say. Okay. So that's the Dutch East Indies, or that's Burma right now. Almost all of our supply is also, well, not almost all. We've got another 23,000 on these ships here. Let's drop the ships that haven't unloaded anything into the port to free up some dock space. 40,000 tons still docked, unloading another 23,000 supply. I have more supply to come down here. So I've got, let's form up, oh, did I do another form task force? Yeah, I did. Okay. So let's form up these guys here. We're going to bring in about another 40,000 tons south. Let's see what the setup is here. They have how much? What's the tonnage? Where's the tonnage? Can't see the tonnage. Too big to dock. They've got 83,000 tons in this task force. That's probably too big for Rangoon also. So bringing 86,000 supplies south. The dock can support up to 48,000, so we're going to have to pull some out. So let's... are the rest of those guys in port? Oh, shit. I think I did something wrong here. let's leave these guys here. Retirement not allowed. Do not unload. Well, let's force, because I think the 10 ships in port I just dropped into port are the ones with the car. Yeah, so let's form a new cargo task force. The ships I just threw into port, which is a smaller tonnage amount. All right, 38,000. We can pull some more out. All right, so 47,000 there. So these guys will now go to Rangoon to bring another 50,000 supply into Rangoon. Okay. So that'll be nice. I mean, we're going to have, we've got 50,000 here already. We've got 23,000 more coming off transports. And then the bases around here just have so much supply. The only potential negative here is that I might be giving XTRG a big supply haul when he comes. You know, once he launches his offensive here. But I'm really trying to get as much into Burma as possible so that even once Rangoon falls or one of the bases along the line here gets compromised, if we've pulled enough supply into the northern part of Burma, then we can continue supplying China after the Burma Road, quote-unquote, stops working or stops sending stuff. So that's definitely something that I'm kind of thinking about. Okay, so there's that. Meanwhile, we've got cruiser mine layers here. I think they laid their mines. They did. We dropped some mines at Kogala, trying to make Sri Lanka a little bit more defensible. So we put 79 mines at Kogala. Trincomalee has no mines, so I think I'll drop some mines at Trincomalee as well. So this mine laying task force here. Dock. Replenish from port. And shouldn't you be full of mines again? Are there no more mines? Wouldn't it tell me if there's no more mines? Maybe if we disband and then we form another mine lane task force? Says you have 0 mines. But why? Why do you have 0 mines? Maybe we don't have any mines left in the pool. They're Mark 17 mines by the look of it. So we go here. We go to the troop and resources pool. And is there a way to... Nope, I don't think it's this pool. Oh, there it is. Whoops. I really have to do these all by one. So there's no mines in the pool anywhere. We've used up all our Mark 17 mines. We have... That's not true. I've used them. Maybe I haven't pulled them from the pool. Apparently the build rate of these guys is 12 a month, so that mine layer is not going to be replenished anytime soon. God damn it. Lame. We need to build more mines. Well, at least Kogala got the mines. I think the most likely landing point if he goes for Sri Lanka is probably Kogala. I think he's going to assume both Trincomalee and Colombo are better defended, and that he will avoid a heavy response if he lands at Kogala. Okay. I don't think he'll go for Janfa because that's too close to India. Also, Kogala is the furthest from any airfields that might be based in India. So there's that. Okay. So meanwhile, the Henderson, I think, was torpedoed, right? So she on her way back? She is. She's on her way. Whoa, 75 flotation damage. That is a lot of flotation damage. Let's hope she can get back to port next turn. The good news is she only has to go 1 hex. The bad news is she's only making 3 knots. All right. Meanwhile, a bunch of tankers have arrived back in LA. So we will be setting up a new task force to head out. He's got a single sub here off the west coast that we've identified. We'll have to bring some ASW units out. I've got some somewhere. AM probably won't do much. I think a lot of my escorts are currently out at sea. Maybe Pat. Although at least in this case, the guys are a little ways away, and there's other traffic that I think he might go for. It says he's moving northwest. So if he's really moving away from these guys, they might be safe. Meanwhile, you can see all these other guys that I've loaded up with anti-aircraft units that are all on their way to different bases in the Central Pacific. Okay. Meanwhile, these tankers are unloading fuel at Pearl. They have 25% unloaded. Replenish from port, which uses up a lot of their ops. They won't unload much this turn. But we've almost got the fuel at Pearl back over 500,000, which is good to be a forward staging area for a lot of supplies. 26,000 more coming off between the replenishment unit and the tanker unit that are unloading. We are loading a bomber group here. Actually, it's unloading a bomber group here from Pearl, 22nd Bomber Group, 19th Bomber Squadron. We've got 10. Actually, I think there's 11 of them. I think one might already be in the base, B-26 bombers. They've got a 48 transfer range, so I can transfer these guys pretty effectively without having to send them on ships, so that'll be nice. Sean Mack, she might sink. I don't know. American damage control is pretty damn good in this game, so she might make it. Okay. Do we have any indication where his carriers might be? There's some ships that are docked at Canton Island. What's the difference between, or the distance between Christmas and Canton? 22, so I can't bomb out of Christmas. Damn. Someone is going to bed. I didn't see who. Night like a G-Man if you're heading out. Alright, so those guys are heading back to LA. How's the fort? How are the forts coming out of Australia? Working on it. Meanwhile, this guy here, the Indominus, is on its way back to New Zealand here. 48 float damage. It took a little bit. It took a torpedo near Norfolk Island from Japanese bombers off New Caledonia. So she's working her way back that way. I think we got another damaged troop transport on the way back to Auckland here. The Zillan, 59 float damage. She's going to be in dry dock for a long time, but if she doesn't sink, that's at least good. Meanwhile, we've got a base force unit on the way to Raoul Island, going to unload over the beach. 2nd RNZAF base force. We're going to turn this dot hex into an airfield so we can set up an effective transfer route between Raoul and Vavu and Suva. So it's 17 hexes here, 19 hexes here. P-40Bs can't make it, but any P-40s with drop tanks can. Supplies down to 22,000 out of Suva. I have flown some of my heavy bombers out of there. But you can see here that we're working on getting some of these fortresses repaired. Still got a very low ready rate. We've flown some of those fortresses out to Australia. So you can see here, these bombers are totally shot up. We've got 23 aircraft, only 9 ready. 6 P-17Es here are damaged. So take a look at the planes. You can see here they're going to take 4 days. That's actually not that bad. 4 days to repair for those bombers to get ready again. So it should give us some time to get the ready rates up a little bit and then bring the altitude up and start hitting Moresby's airfield once the base does fall in the next few days. Some of the bombers start coming back online as soon as tomorrow. Also trying to get the airfield up to maybe a level 5 to help with the readiness values there. Moving a bunch of units around. Australian division here is on the way to Charterstown. This is going to remain off the coast, and then it'll go to wherever he lands eventually. I think that's a ways away. We'll take a look at SIGINT in a moment, Kohovoken. That's probably about it, actually. I'll do the orders and other things like that off cam. Well, not that I'm on camera, but off recording. We lost 21 aircraft today. Dear God. Japan lost 2. 1 to flak for us. He lost 6 operational losses. We lost 3. Woof. So we lost 10 Dutch bombers, the 139 WH-3s, 9 air-to-air, 1 op loss. He lost 3 Ki-46 Dinas. That's interesting. 2 in air-to-air combat and 1 ops losses. I wonder where he's sending them. Are these transports? Where would he have potentially been sending them? Huh. That's kind of a lot, especially in air-to-air combat. I don't remember shooting any of these guys down. Is that what the Dina is? Is that a transport? Meanwhile, 3 Sox Seagulls, 3 Hudsons, 3 Falcons, 2 enemy Bettys lost ops losses. We lost 4 B-17s. That's a bad day. 2 air-to-air combat, 1 to flak, 1 to ops. Dina's recon. Okay. 1 Ki-48 Lily to ops. 1 Liberator to ops. She was flying supplies into China. And then 1 L-212 air-to-air. 25 to 8 in terms of total losses today, aircraft-wise. We lost 4 pilots KIA. So 25 aircraft lost, but only 4 KIA pilots and none MIA. So that's actually not that bad in terms of pilots anyway. They also could have been running recon over somewhere like Rangoon, where we've got heavy fighter sweeps or something, maybe. If we take a look at ship availability, the Hornet's got to be a day or 2 away, right? Hornet is 2 days away, so we're going to get the Hornet on the U.S. East Coast in 2 days. We get 4 more tankers at Abadan tomorrow, so that'll be nice. Heavy cruiser Vincennes in 2 days. So some nice naval units coming. In terms of ground reinforcements here, we are looking at 4 days to get the Winnipeg Grenadiers in Vancouver. I think that's one of the units I rebuilt. Yep, unit being rebuilt. Samoa Detachment in Auckland, unit being rebuilt. We're only going to get support there. I don't think we have enough infantry in the pool to fill it out. Meanwhile, the 137th and 220th U.S. Base Forces here in Seattle and San Francisco, those are new units. They're not rebuilt. First USN Seabees in about 6 days at Port Hunamine, wherever the hell that is. Second 6 Independent Company, Southwest Pacific in 6 days at Sydney. We get Engineering Construction Regiment at Chungking in 7 days. We get the 7th Marine Regiment at Aden in 7 days. Aden, really? Where the hell did they send them to? Oh, wait, no, that's Eastern U.S. I'm reading that wrong. We're getting artillery at Aden. This is in Eastern U.S., so 10 days for them. Another convoy into Cape Town. That'll actually be nice because that'll bring in some tankers. Well, I don't think that goes into the pool. 20 merchants, 1 tanker. They'll bring 120,000 supplies and 36,000 fuel into Cape Town. But then we'll get 12 3-inch mortars into the pool, 48 2-pound anti-tank guns into the pool, 12 Matilda 2s, 24 Indian rifle sections, 36 ISF militia units, 24 60-pounder guns. Those are big guns. And then 24 25-pounders. I'm assuming all of these units go into the pool. I'm also assuming they're not part of the replenishment counter that it gives you, so that these are in addition to the replenishment numbers. Those infantry squadrons will be very nice. I didn't see the Atlanta, but I guess you might have seen the Atlanta coming soon. And then aircraft reinforcement schedule. In 1 day, Vindicators arrive in San Francisco. We obviously get the Hornet air groups, some Buffaloes in San Francisco in 2 days, Skytrains in Pearl Harbor in 2 days, Viewfighters in Sydney in 2 days, DH-84 Dragons in Perth in 2 days, DC-2s in 2 days at Melbourne, so 6 DC-2s in Melbourne, 16 Kitty Hawks in 5 days at Brisbane, another 16 Kitty Hawks at Perth in 7 days, and then the Formidable, the British aircraft carrier, will arrive in about 6 days. 90 miles north of LA. Okay, good to know. Thanks, Vipern. Appreciate that info. So that's the situation, guys. Not a lot else. Gib the 14 5-inch gun broadside now. 14 5-inch gun broadside. Oh, for the Atlanta. Broadside less impressive than the anti-aircraft, right? Especially once you get those proximity fuses. But that you got to wait for a ship upgrade till later this year, right? Or early next year. Okay, so supplies in Palembang aren't great, but we're going to keep producing that as oil generates. Oil is at 780. That's unfortunate. 60,000 fuel, though. Not a lot of fuel. Oosthaven also pulled some supplies south, so he won't get that till he takes that base. As long as... Did we set that to stockpile? I think we did. Yeah. Okay. Batavia, meanwhile, it's fort level 55%. So unless we are here for another 45 days, we're not going to get to level 4 forts. We just don't have enough engineers here. We've got 71 engineers, but only one engineer vehicle. That's a problem. But the Dutch just don't have a lot of engineer vehicles. Throughout all the other base forces on the island, there's not a single engineer vehicle that we can pull in. We're already ordering, by the way, the fuel and the supply to be stockpiled here. Just so we can stockpile the resource and the oil. We've also set the supply required to the maximum amount, so the maximum amount of supply that can come into Batavia is already set. Pat, I've already pulled most of those squadrons out, so I pulled like 2 P-40 squadrons out yesterday. So the Kitty Hawks will be nice. I got some political points to pull some of those units out early. I figured with the Kitty Hawk, like, I kind of pulled them out 1-to-1. So with the Hurricanes arriving at Brisbane from Perth, and then also the Kitty Hawks arriving at Rockhampton, I made the decision to pull out the first of the P-40 Warhawk groups. The next P-40 Warhawk group here will have to come out as well in the next few days. I'm hoping that they can get their damaged aircraft repaired, and it looks like they should all be ready tomorrow. I don't want to disband this group until the aircraft are all repaired, because when I withdraw them, all those aircraft go into the pool, and we'll have over 30 P-40s again. But I don't want to do that until we get these repaired, because any damaged aircraft don't go into the pool, I believe. So, Pat, all the pilots suck in these groups. They're all like level 40s. I would if they were worth anything. Well, I guess I'll pull the experienced ones. Or these guys aren't here yet. Or maybe I already sent them off? Sure, I'll take a look. It says their delay is 1. There's a few decent pilots. Most of them suck. I believe the pilots auto go to the pool, though. If the aircraft go to the pool, I believe the pilots do also. Stein, it was somewhat... Well, it was hard to say how the turn was because we had a desync error. We lost Harkin, you can see over here. Port Moresby was bombarded and very badly hit. The troops are actually not in terrible shape. Their assault value only fell like 20. He launched a deliberate attack there. But he did reduce the fort to level 0. He bombarded it with 4 battleships and 7 heavy cruisers and absolutely wrecked the base. 80+ damage on every item here. He destroyed every last unit of supply in the base. So Port Moresby's writing is on the wall, just a matter of probably when he attacks again. The only question is if we did enough damage and if he burned enough supply in that last turn to prevent him from attacking right away again. Those bombardment units probably are going to pull out, though, because they burned almost all their ammo, I would guess. Meanwhile, anything else? I guess we should take a look at the SIGINT. So we've got a Japanese infantry regiment located on a tanker. I don't believe it's on a tanker, but it's moving to truck. I think we've had that in the reports a couple of times. Another part of the same infantry regiment located at an AK moving to truck. So we've got good intel on that task force. 4th Field Air Force Construction Battalion moving to Palembang. 626 Field Anti-Aircraft Unit moving to Palembang. Southern Armory planning an attack on Singapore. He's obviously moving an infantry regiment into the Central Pacific, or out of the Central or the South Pacific. It's hard to know. But the 24th Infantry Regiment is moving a truck, either from like the home islands area, I'm not sure where it would have been before, or out of, you know, maybe like Rabaul, and maybe he's planning an operation somewhere else. Not sure. In any event. That's probably about it for the stream. Still hanging in there supply-wise in Kaigan. Obviously, the base is almost out of supply, but the units still have more or less sufficient supply with the exception of the headquarters unit. Almost 300 assault value there. Munster, most of my streams start either a half an hour earlier than I started tonight or when I started. So I usually start streams somewhere between 9:30 and 10:30 Central Standard or Central Dateline time, I think. I think it's the same right now. Yeah. Most streams. I think the Warren Pacific turns are a little bit more regular in terms of the timing. I think my other streams tend to be a little bit more varied. U.S. time. Yep, I'm in the U.S. But I think CDT would be accurate for you, right? CDT? Anyway, yes, I started the stream about an hour and a half ago. You can usually expect that to be within 30... plus or minus 30 minutes forward or 30 minutes back. So about an hour window is usually when I start. I think that's going to be it for tonight, though, guys. Devonta, I'm not going to bombard Midway right now. I don't know where his carriers are, but we saw his carriers like 2 turns ago. They were around here. If I move my battleships up this way, he will probably detect them with float planes, and he might be able to sprint in behind me depending on where he is at. I will consider bombarding Midway, but we would want to wait at least a week or until we get more intel about his carriers being somewhere else. What? We do have a few aces. No one's new this turn. We had an ace with 8 kills. T. Cole of the Flying Tigers. He was killed. We have 3 aces currently sitting on 7 kills. Pappy Boynton has 7 kills. C.H. Older and B.D. Wagner. 2 of the 3 are in the Flying Tigers. G.H. Armstrong, 6 kills of the 17th Pursuit Group. He's alive. J.L. Brownwell of the 17th Pursuit Group died. 6 kills also. We've got quite a few aces. 4 of them are dead. But that's a good deal of aces. Like, and I'm not going to count them out manually on stream here, but it's got to be at least like 15 aces, I would guess. Any Aussie aces? I don't think so. I don't see any Aussies there. We really haven't had much air combat with the Aussies. I think there's 1 Australian fighter squadron that fought a lot over Singapore. You can see they've got a few guys with several kills. They've got 1 guy with 3, R.W. Drury. And they've got a couple of Hudsons which have claimed kills. Appropriately, one of the Hudson bomber groups that claimed a kill is dead because bombers don't shoot many fighters down. So 3 Hudsons have claimed shooting down Japanese fighters and had those kills confirmed in theory. None of them with more than 1 kill. But no Marines have any kills yet. Marines have not engaged in air-to-air combat yet. U.S. Navy has no aces yet, although several guys with 3 kills. This all would have been primarily with the battle over Singapore. I'm not sure if we fought any enemy air over the Marianas when we bombed over there. The rest of it's really the U.S. Army. And the British, I think, have a few. Nope, no British aces yet in the Pacific. J. Parker of the 242nd Squadron, Flying Hurricanes, is the closest with 4. The Dutch have no aces. A lot of... You can see the KIA rate in the Dutch fighter groups is much higher. They're getting hit right now hard. But that's the situation, guys. So we've been going for about an hour 30 plus, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Mexicans, thanks for the resub. Like a G-Man, thanks for the bits. To everybody who started following the channel tonight. Broadsword, Cool Mo, Super Storby, Wallywag, Neomas, One Infested Rainer, and then that's everybody tonight. So thank you everybody to the new subs, or to the new followers. Thanks to the one new resub and to the 20 plus subs that we've got on the channel right now as well. And all those Prime subs out there. Remember, you do have to manually resub yourself. If you sub through Prime and you want to continue supporting, you can't set it to redo it every month. You've got to manually pick the new channel every month. Sean Mack, thanks for the bits as well. And thanks for the support and coming out. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, I'm out.